I need help with my digital hoarding and obsessive compulsive disorder. I spend up to 10 hours a day on my phone. I screenshot almost everything I see. I have about 54,000 screenshots, 2,500 videos, and about 9,000 selfies. My media storage has 132,000 images and videos. It's causing friction between myself, my friends, and my family.
It's very annoying, especially when she's on her phone, on Facebook, or looking for free stuff around town.
I have a hard time getting rid of things. I've been hoarding since college. My apartment's a huge mess. I have a lot of furniture, kitchenware, bathroom stuff, freebies.
My apartment's real bad and Mom just got here because she's gonna help me.
My mom will come help me clean and organize, and then like a couple weeks later, she'll be like, why is it a mess again?
Melanie, I'm over cleaning your apartment. I'm done, because every time I come back, it's hoarded up again.
When I tell people I have OCD, a lot of people think of someone that's super neat. And it's funny to me because I'm actually messy. I want to educate myself more on OCD and hoarding disorder. Cluttered environment equals cluttered mind. If nothing changes in my environment, I'm afraid that I'm gonna end up alone and just keep living in the chaos.
Okay, Melanie, it's good to meet you.
Hi.
So you believe that you suffer from OCD?
Yes, I'm diagnosed.
Okay, now there are 6 subclassifications of OCD. One of them is hoarding, and you do that both digitally and physically, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you hoard, you say anything and everything, that you just can't even walk in your apartment.
It's bad right now.
You hoard different size clothes, free furniture. You feel really addicted to this. It controls your life.
Yeah, I would say I have a shopping addiction.
Okay, and do you consider yourself highly controlling?
I don't know if I am, but others have told me I am. OCD is also OCD is like a controlling thing, like you want to control things. So I guess I control more than the OCD.
Do you think you know a lot about OCD?
I know a fair amount.
And you think, I don't know anything about it?
I don't know if you know anything about it. I did want there to be a OCD.
Well, no, you said I don't know anything about it. That's what you told my staff, because I didn't know anything about OCD, so you wanted an expert here about OCD.
Yeah, can I explain myself?
You can try.
I initially had said to them, hey, I want to make sure there's an expert who specializes in OCD and hoarding disorder because I want to make sure that the viewers understand the diagnosis.
So you wanted to produce the show.
No, I don't want to produce the show, but I would have liked there to be.
Well, you said, hi, Allie. I just found out from Greg that he's been cut. I'm extremely uncomfortable with an OCD hoarding expert not being on the show. It's almost unacceptable. Dr. Phil is not a specialist in these areas. It is extremely upsetting and anxiety-provoking for me. So why are you here?
I had a little bit of a meltdown last night.
Yeah, I know. And there was a particular doctor that you demanded to be on the show. So why didn't you just make an appointment with that doctor instead of coming here?
Well, he lives in Illinois.
But you can make a virtual appointment.
I only found this out last night that he wasn't going to be part of the show. They had mentioned that he
was
going to be vetted.
No, that is absolutely not true. And I will get the producer on the phone right now because you're not going to control and manipulate me.
Like I said, I was hoping that an expert would be on the show.
You were demanding. Had you been hoping, he would be sitting here with us right now, but because you demanded it, I refuse to enable your demanding and controlling manipulative nature because that's not what I do.
Like I said, I wanted to make sure everything was told to the viewers correctly. And it's not that I wanted to produce the show. I told them for the integrity of the episode is what I had said to her.
Okay. Well, Allie Levin is one of our senior producers, and she's in her office. Allie, are you there?
Yes, Dr. Phil, I'm here.
There seems to be some confusion here, and I don't want to be controlled and manipulated on this. So what is the sequence of events here?
Well, we spoke with Melanie for the past week about her appearing on the show, and we talked with her about, her interest in sharing her story and getting advice from you, and she did express interest in, possibly meeting with an OCD specialist, and we told her honestly that you decided and approved all guests who are on the show. And she told us that she had planned to come on the show only then, at that time, if there was an OCD specialist. And we told her we had no idea that she was coming on the show with those set conditions.
Uh-huh. You made no commitment to her the first time you spoke to her about who would be on the show or not.
Absolutely. We told her that, we wanted to hear her story and that you made all the decisions as far as what guests are appearing on the show.
Mm-hmm.
My main issue with my daughter Melanie is she's a hoarder. She's very controlling and very manipulative as well. Melanie thinks she's organized, but the clutter is actually ruining her life.
I think sometimes it's hard for her to understand what I'm going through because she doesn't have the level of anxiety that I have and the want to accumulate.
Melanie still has a childhood bedroom at my house full of her traveling, clothes, and books from her younger years. When I walk into Melanie's house, I see papers, boxes, clutter, receipts all over the place. Melanie doesn't like washing her dishes, so now she uses a lot of paper products. When I help her clean, I can't touch anything because she gets very anxious.
The other day, she left some glass on my counter and it made a mark and I had a little bit of a fit.
She had a big fit. She stood back and she said, "Mom, look what you did to my countertop." We had to stop for a minute, and I told Melanie, look, it went away. Melanie's very aggressive when she's trying to get a point across, whether to her family or to her friends. Since COVID has come, Melanie fixates on herself and other people about wearing masks and social distancing. Melanie wants to control everyone, and that frustrates the family. We decided at family gatherings, if people don't want to wear masks, we just don't invite Melanie. I fear that if Melanie does not get the help she needs, she's going to have a very difficult time continuing a normal life.
Thank you for being here.
Nice to meet you, Dr. Phil.
It's good to meet you. This is disrupting her life.
Yes, it is. I definitely think it's ruining her life. I want her to live a happy and a healthy life. Her OCD, I'm finding, is hurting the family, where she likes to be very controlling with our family, and she bullies.
In what way?
She likes to tell her siblings what to do, how to do it.
That's been our experience of her, is being very bullying and controlling and manipulative. And I think that comes from anxiety, which is a real underlying characteristic of OCD. It's anxiety driven. So it's like if I can control everything and gather everything and keep everything together, then the feeling is, at least in that moment, there's some relief of anxiety. Obviously it doesn't work, but that doesn't stop you from repeating the pattern, right?
Yeah, one other thing is, a lot of times I'll think I'm right about something, or this is obvious, why don't you see it this way? Yeah. And it's not that I'm trying to be right, it's just it seems right.
And do you think that's a pattern?
I've realized that it's a pattern.
Yeah, because you did that with us as well. It's like, why would you not have an OCD expert on there? I mean, that's just the right thing to do. Why would you not do that? I mean, it's just logical, right? You just didn't see any other point of view, right? What's another point of view about that?
See, I have a hard time seeing the counter argument.
Well, that's my point. If you say, I don't want to just be right, well, if you don't want to be right, argue the counter argument.
I guess maybe you studied up on it, or maybe you have had experience with this. That would be the counter argument.
Well, you don't know what I know.
I don't.
You don't know what my background is. You haven't studied that, number one. Number two, if you come in here and start dictating how all this is going to be done, are we not enabling the very behaviors that are destroying your life?
I guess on some level, it makes sense.
Now, come on, you're a smart young woman. You don't understand how, if part of OCD is to control, and if part of your personality is to dictate, manipulate, and control, that to come in here and have a staff start saying, yes, ma'am, what do you need? Okay, you want this person? Anybody else? Can we get somebody else for you? So you dictate the entire situation, that would not be enabling your tendency to control and manipulate people.
Like I said, I wasn't trying to dictate. I just thought it would be helpful.
You're right. You're right.
Are you just saying that?
Yes. I hope you're picking up the sarcasm, because I'm certainly heaping it on really, really strong.
Definitely picking up the sarcasm.
Okay. Do you see my point?
Yes, Dr. Phil, I do see your point. Melanie's a very loving and a giving person. She's very smart, very intelligent, but sometimes it's difficult to help her when she's being controlling towards me.
Yeah.
And trying to get rid of things.
Yeah. And sometimes it just gets weary, and so you just say, whatever.
I step back.
Yeah. And she pushes people away.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, well, she's ruined relationships. She's lost friends in the last week or two. Mm-hmm. Correct?
No. My OCD started when I was about 8 or 10 years old. I had seen a movie where one of the characters hit another guy on the nose, and I didn't know if he had injured him or killed him. I started to hit my nose, basically to see in my mind how far I can go and if I would injure myself. Essentially, part of my OCD is reenactment. It's a need to know or want to know, and it gives me a lot of anxiety if I don't do it, and it gives me a lot of anxiety if I do it.
Melanie told producers that she believes she developed OCD around age 10 when she began repeatedly reenacting a violent scene in a film that she became obsessed with. She told producers that her mother, Alisa, watched so-called odd behavior and did nothing. Alisa says she thought her daughter was a normal child and she had no concerns about her OCD or hoarding until she became an adult. You know, every child is different and every child has nuances.
Correct.
But it gains momentum in a fast hurry, doesn't it?
Yes. The hoarding, yes. When she started living on her own is when I noticed all this.
Uh-huh. At this point, you've tried a lot of different things to control this, and you started a channel about this called OCD Interrupted.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at one of the episodes or videos that she's put up.
I created a channel called OCD Interrupted.
Hi, I'm Melanie, and I have OCD and hoarding disorder.
I obsessed for about 1.5 years of the name that I wanted to choose for the channel and what content to do.
Receipts! So many receipts!
I have about 20 videos recorded, but I've only posted 4 of them.
I always have like anxiety in the brains. Right now I feel physically anxious. Sorry, and my anxiety is just like...
The OCD sets in and I can't get anything done.
It's funny, you seem to vacillate between almost being happy about it or celebratory about it to really suffering at times. Like when you said you're having anxiety, you seem to really be in pain. What kind of response did you get?
My friends said they're proud of me for being vulnerable and putting myself out there. I haven't released as many videos as I thought I would by this time, but I have them on my phone.
Are you obsessing about the others not being good enough, or
yeah, I
whatever?
Basically, people are like, you're OCDing about the OCD.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. Like,
which is normal for OCD.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil, I know Melanie does not like living like this. It's been a very hard road for her. And exposing herself like this has not been easy.
Right.
And I understand the giggle and the
Well,
happiness
that's why I
and
asked
the
her what kind of
sadness.
feedback she got.
Yeah, the
because,
happiness and the sadness of it, but I live it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go into her apartment, it makes me really sad.
Do you think she's depressed?
Yes. I think she goes through her periods of being depressed, and her giggling with the receipts and all that might just be on the outside, but I think it really hurts on the inside.
This is my friend Austin. One of the hobbies we like to do together is go picking, which means we find free stuff or discounted stuff.
Pickers means you get it and you resell it, but there's no reselling with Melanie. Today we have a lamp that she made me pick up. We have the sound bar from the same guy. The rest of the stuff is hers. The bread maker, she's gluten-free, and since she doesn't know how to cook, she only knows how to hoard, I thought I'd make her some gluten-free bread.
Austin is typically very patient with me. I like going with him, 1, because he has a truck, 2, because he's strong, 3,
Because her car is full of stuff. Her mom is getting mad at me, telling me, do not take more free stuff.
Melanie has a feeling of missing out if she doesn't take a photo or video of everything she sees and buy every knickknack that tempts her. Now, that's why her phone and apartment are completely jam full of stuff that she can't even find. She says that her good friend Austin is supportive as she deals with her OCD and hoarding disorder. Here's what Austin has to say from his point of view.
I met Melanie in 2014 and we went on a couple of dates. The first red flag happened right away on our first date when she wouldn't get off her phone, and then the big one was her car on the second date. I had to push things to the back to be able to sit down in the front seat, and she had a little mini panic attack.
Even if Austin wanted to ride with me, it's not gonna happen.
I haven't been able to ride in her car since our second date.
After the fourth date, I was like, I'm just gonna be friends with her. Last year, I saw a post on Facebook, and Melanie admitted how she has problems with her hoarding and OCD. And to be honest, that was the first time I heard anything about it. It makes sense why I was never allowed to go to her place, and she never had friends over at her place. She spent almost a week at my place because her little studio just reached capacity. I do tease her a little bit about how I'd rather have her be a crazy cat lady, because at least being a crazy cat lady, she can still meet a husband or a boyfriend. Being a hoarder, you can't even bring someone home. In the past few weeks, she has had multiple friends tell her, I need to take a break from you, because she is very selfish.
I don't have friends dropping me.
You have a few friends that don't want to talk to you or have anything to do with you right now because of
About
your...
what?
Because when you talk to them, you're very one-sided about it. You
I
want
know.
to tell them about your hoarding problem, or you want to tell them about this new class that you're taking. You don't want to just listen to them.
I'm one of her last friends that's willing to help deal with this, but it's hard. At this point, I am losing my patience with her.
Well, Austin, thanks for being here, and thanks for caring enough about her to be here. Why is she losing friends?
Well, she's very manipulative and controlling. She's losing friends because you're letting the OCD and the controlling issue and the hoarding run your life.
Being a friend is give and take, right? But in relationships with her, it's always got to be about her, so there's not any really give or take. And that's what her friends are saying, right? It's like, I'm over this. She's full-time. There's no room for me in the relationship.
She has 2 speeds, full speed, 120 miles an hour, or sleep. Right now, her energy is very, 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 very low. She's almost asleep. She's not fighting for the help that she really wants. You saw her videos where there's a note on the wall, I don't want to live like this anymore. And I can see you're overwhelmed with all of it.
I am overwhelmed.
Grandma's
Austin.
overwhelmed, the rest of the family's overwhelmed.
We are overwhelmed.
And I do think there's a paradox here. And I think the paradox is this is an anxiety-driven disorder, and it's comorbid with depression. But the paradox is there's also a payoff to the attention that comes with it.
It's where she gets her validation from.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's why she's using Craigslist free for validation as well. We go to these people's houses and they instantly become her best friend and she's asking them advice. Part of the reason why we're here today, and I mean, we're all at the point we don't know how to help her, and that's why we're asking you what to do.
I began to attend OCD and hoarding conferences last year, and I learned about all different kinds of OCD themes that I didn't even know existed.
The other day, I watched a OCD hoarding video with her. I support her attending the conferences if she feels they're gonna help her.
When I went to the conference, I felt like I found my spirit people because it felt comfortable being able to talk to other people about the disorders that I have. It was nice to see that I'm not insane and that there's other people who think like me.
Well, I've been talking this hour with Melanie, her mother, Alisa, and one of her friends that has really stuck with her, Austin. They're all here for advice on how to help Melanie with her self-professed digital addiction and hoarding issues that seem to be part of OCD. Now, OCD is an anxiety-driven disorder. It involves obsessive thoughts and compulsive behaviors that are really time-consuming or cause significant distress and impairment. It can interfere with the pursuit of normal goals. And everybody has a little OCD in them. I mean, if you stop and think about it, I bet everybody listening right now has something that they're a little obsessive about, that they just are particular about. They have to have cabinet doors closed, or they have to have certain things a certain way. Everybody has something. But we're talking about to the point that it really disrupts your peaceful existence during the day. It may be an attention-getting thing at some level, but it is tremendously outweighed by what it costs you in your life.
Dr.
I was
Phil,
fired-
it also took away from her, her fabulous job opportunities
Right.
that she had.
Now, I just got a series of questions, and you can just give me as succinct an answer as you possibly can. What do you want your life to look like?
I want a clean environment. Like when I walk into people's houses who have clean homes, I'm almost like thinking to myself, where's all their stuff? Like, where do they keep their stuff? But when I go to hotels, I'm like, wow, it's so clean in here. So I want it to feel like that. I want to be able to have a clean car that I can put other people, drive other people.
You described you want a non-chaotic world and a non-chaotic mind. So a peaceful would be the antithesis of that, right? So the next question is, what are you willing to do to have that?
Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. It's hard to imagine because I'm in my 30s, mid-30s, and I've been living like this for so long that I don't know what it's like to live as a normal person.
But what are you willing to do to have what you say you want?
Well, that's the thing. I really need help, and I'm having a hard time with motivationally. And I don't know what I'm willing to do, but I know that I have to change because I'm tired of living like this, and I don't want to be, I can't even have a normal, intimate relationship because there's no space for that person.
What do you think about the fact that I'm talking about small changes accumulating rather than revolutionizing your life?
Could be appealing.
There are some things that you can do to behave your way to success. We don't break bad habits. What we do is replace one habit with a new habit that's hopefully incompatible with the one we replaced it with. For example, you can help yourself immensely if you got rid of your smartphone for a period of time. If you had a phone without a camera, just a flip phone where your mom could reach you and you could reach your mom, that would be difficult for you for probably 48 hours. And then you would be astounded how adaptable you are. If you would unplug from the internet for a period of time, you would be astounded how adaptable you are, and you would have so much time on your hands. You say, well, all right, well, what am I going to do with that? And you say, well, these could be really anxiety-inducing. What do you put in its place? Well, you can put other anxiety-controlling mechanisms in its place. Yoga, exercise, things that you do to really physically control your anxiety. You can commit a certain amount of time during a day that you are going to focus on someone that is less fortunate than yourself. Not 2,500 people on the internet, someone. Maybe there's someone in your building or down on the corner that maybe they're elderly and they're homebound. You can go knock on their door, step back 12 feet with your mask on and say, can I do some errands for you? Would you just like to visit? Where you just started behaving differently than you've been behaving and rediscover Melanie. Because there's a whole part of you that you've walled off behind an OCD wall, and you need to let her out. And when you do, you're going to be astounded at what you find. You're selling yourself short. You have more interpersonal power than you're using and you're giving yourself credit for.
Okay.
I'm asking you to make small changes and see what happens across a 30-day period. What do you have to lose?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
So if Melanie makes these small changes, how does that help her get rid of her apartment the way it looks?
As she does these things, those things become less relevant to her.
Okay, I
And as those
understand
things become less relevant to her, she has no need for them. And they become an annoyance instead of a treasure.
How do you feel about that, Melanie? Is that going to help you?
The only thing I can think of, I don't know if it will help me, to be honest, declutter. I think it's positive to focus out on others. And like during the pandemic, I'm like, people are dying and I'm sitting here hoarding things. Like, I think that's kind of what you're getting at, like realizing they're just things.
We'll see. We'll see what meaning you put on it. Watch back what we've talked about. Think about what we've talked about and see if it helps you. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
Okay, thank you.
We're out of time.
I'm Melanie. I have OCD and hoarding disorder.
You told my staff I didn't know anything about OCD.
She's very manipulative and controlling.
You're not going to control and manipulate me.
Next, Dr. Phil. Check your local listings.